Zoom and YouTube. This thing starts. So finally, are we saying? Yeah. I didn't think about that there. I should find out when he told me he's going back doing something else. I catch we're live on everything.
Person's up there.
He couldn't get it off some. Still don't have a response.
That's okay.
Yeah, big bed never will. He said, wash it out. Did it make some hole? He says,
Just act like you're gonna break it down, I'll let you in.
big enough. Yeah, we need to tie.
Yeah, we'll go up to Toledo. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Okay, you can start.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
My little ring just fell. Hear you.
There we go.
May meeting of the Kisatchie Fly Fishers is now in order. Carlton, if you'll lead us in prayer.
Father, I thank you for this day. Thank you for, all that you do for us. Father, thank you for all who are here tonight, and pray that you bless each one of us and bless everything that we do tonight. We just thank you for the beauty of your creation and that we're able to enjoy it. Thank you for this country and the freedom we enjoy. Father, we pray that you will give us our many sins in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So y'all starting to sit down. I fooled y'all, didn't I? All right, it's getting warm out there, isn't it? Summer's finally here. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully it needs no more rain, flood waters. Not everywhere, but they're starting to get there. Do we have any new members tonight? New people, new guests? Okay. Cindy, anything to report in terms of?
I was trying to see if I could find where Rich is on emails about how many members we had. Oh, okay, I can give you a treasury report. We currently have $4,178 in the bank. We don't have any bills outstanding that I know of.
Good. And Rich isn't here.
Bills
I
are.
have
Okay.
Rich's report. We have currently have 87 active member families. So technically, many more members than that, 3 of which are students, 2 are military. We have 18 new members since January and 25 from the last 2 years who didn't renew. And I do have caps over there. Rich, Rich is ever the salesman and recruiter. There's caps over there if anybody wants to buy a cap. Do you, anybody know how much they are?
They're
$20 each, okay. And that is, and I have membership forms. If any of you here had not yet filled out a membership form with all your info, any of the newer folks, you let me know and I'll give you one of these, but I think that's about it, Catch.
For those that don't know, for next couple of weeks, we're gonna have a board meeting. We're gonna talk about, one of the things we're talk about is right now, our membership is roster is kind of this loose spreadsheet that goes around from person to person. Everybody kind of has to keep their membership roster, the secretary, vice president, myself, on their own computer. Well, we've gone to MailChimp. Some of y'all may have seen some of the new emails that we've gotten lately that look well formatted and everything else. That comes from MailChimp. And the thing about MailChimp is, for those who don't know, it's a cloud system. That means it's stored somewhere on the internet somewhere. So I can get to it from my computer. I can get to it from my cell phone anywhere. Bill can get to it. Cindy can get to it. Rich can get to it. So if we need to send out a message at any time, we can get to it and send out the email and have a continuous, I should say, mailing source to contact members. And if we need to call someone, call a member, all the information, mailing address, phone, email and everything is on that one system out there. And so it's going to be a lot easier for us working as a club. When you're trying to maintain 87 members, back in the day when we had 15, 20 members, it wasn't a problem. When you have 87 members, it starts to become a problem. Another thing we're going to talk about in that board meeting is online membership. A lot of the clubs, Red Stick Club, for example, and I think New Orleans Club, have gone to where you can renew your membership online. I know all the kayak clubs do that now. What's that? Yeah. So that's a real convenience for a lot of us, who, forget to write a check or whatever, or can't make to a club meeting, but we come to remote meetings. So that's going to be another thing we're going to add to. So we're getting into the 21st century here. That's basically what I'm saying. And so that's some of the things we're going to work on. So it should be a boon to our membership and everybody, make it easier for everyone. And if we could figure out a way to, of course, if you go, we have a Facebook page and you can go there and you can get instant fishing reports from our chief fisherman out there, particularly Colvin, who goes to, and Robert, who go to Little Bow every week. So
I just have a standing post. They went to Little Mo and caught a lot of fish.
just put that out there.
Out there.
Yeah, every time. But there are other, as far as saltwater, freshwater, if you want to find out where the fish are biting, just go to our Facebook page and find out. We post it. We have a lot of members who post often. And of course, if you miss any of our meetings, our fly time, you can go to our YouTube channel. So that's another service we're now providing. We've been providing for members since the pandemic, but we've, as you can see, we've upgraded now. We've got the latest technology. I was watching the one of our fly tying sessions the other day on a 72-inch TV, and I noticed there was one little hair that Bill missed on one of his flies. And it was like, I felt like calling Bill and saying, you missed a hair. But I mean, that's the kind of resolution we have with this camera. Yeah. But they're really great videos. They really are. I've had people tell me from other clubs and other sources how good our club time videos are. So thank you, Bill.
Red Sticks goes all over the place.
Yeah,
Watch them lately.
yeah. So, anyway, any fishing reports? Of course, Carlton, yes.
Fishing is still, trout fishing is still good on Little Mo. Robert and, Rick and I were up there last week and did pretty good. Water's getting pretty warm. Everything downstream from the park, fishing probably gonna start dying pretty quick because the water's really getting warm down there. From River Ridge on down, but still in good shape at the park and there's a ton of fish there.
For those who don't know, it's been a policy of Southwest Power and Electric to generate once a week during the summer months, at least once a week, sometimes 2 times a week, to keep the river water cold all the way down to Old Factory Site, which is about, what, 3 miles down? But right now, they're doing maintenance on the generators. Is it the turbines?
Crash racks are in need or being replaced, and so they won't run generation until that's fixed.
And so that could be through summer.
Yeah.
So not only the option for them is there's something called a plunger valve, which releases cold water from the bottom of the lake out, but if they don't run the plunger valve once a week, that could result in some of those fish being killed. And it's a shame because there was some really nice fish this year. They've been eating those cicadas like crazy, and I think they're getting nice and fat on them. So we'll see what happens with that, but that would be a shame if we lost this year's crop of trout out there.
And they was eating cicada flies Saturday, but I didn't try one until about time to head back to Louisiana. Hopefully that'll last for a couple of weeks. Big flies? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, these things are, they're big, and when they hit the water like that, those trout eat them up like that. I mean, it's pretty amazing to watch it. Any local reports, any brim fishing, anybody brim fishing? I went to Cane River this past week and I had to fish off the bank because the boat launches are closed, even for kayaks. They won't let you put a kayak in. So
Why?
That's a good question. I don't know. Talk to the Red River Commission now. But they wouldn't let me put my kayak in. I was getting ready to do that and they said, no boats at all. So I was fishing off the bank and I managed to catch probably a dozen brim that were right between 7 and 7.5 inches. My minimum size for keeping is 7 inches. So I was able to keep enough, and then I caught 11 sockeye white perch off the dock at Coteau, and I kept 4 of those. So we had a nice fish fry yesterday for everybody. Between that, those 2 catches right there. But Natatchee, one of my neighbors went to Natatchee, and he kept 36, but he said he caught about 60. He wanted to clean that many, but he kept 36. So
Really?
yeah, on the beds, he said. They were on the beds. He was throwing out there. He was throwing this little 1 32nd ounce grub out there with the ultralight. So I can imagine right now flies would work just fine. So I've had great success in the past using a slow sinking spider over there in Natasha, where those beds are. Just throw that out there. And along those levee system, those levees they have out there in the middle of the lake. And Natasha, I don't know if y'all familiar with the lake, but they've got some levees they built out in the middle of the lake like this. And along there, the trees have grown up on those little levees. And under the shade trees, those brim like the bed. You can get some really nice brim out there. And they hit just about anything that, beadhead fly. I've had success with jitterbees, hare's ears, Countach plus, the guide's hare's ear, a lot of the stuff that we've tied in the club. But just about any type of little beadhead fly would work really well right now. Of course, popping bugs work early in the morning, late in the afternoon, and some of the biggest brim will hit those popping bugs. So that's a report right there. as far as fishing from my end.
Catch is
Anybody
not-
else?
It's not fishing report, but the mixed bag has been really active, the mixed bag tournament. We have, I think it was 126, 126 entries, which is not too far off of our typical annual number of entries. So we're, this is just May, so it's been really active.
So we're not halfway yet, and we already have, typically
We're
it's an
about,
annual.
we're about 75% of what we normally do.
Wow.
And Chris Williams, and it's tighter this year. Chris Williams has 21. I have 17. Jim has 14. Jim's fourth place is Jim's grandson, 12. And then I think Joel Nat is in fifth with 9. And then it goes from there.
Now, in case y'all don't know, we changed some of the mixed bag award system. So we're giving out fewer awards for the top anglers, and we're giving out more consolation prizes. So if you go out there and say, well, I have no chance of catching Chris Williams or Bill Morrison or Jim Johnson. But if you catch 5 fish and enter them in the mixed bag, you get 5 entries into the consolation drawing, which could be enough to win something really nice, because we've had some nice prizes in the consolation drawing.
We've had as many as 3 rods, a couple of reels, just a bunch of.
I think altogether we had like, what, 12, 15 prizes?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it pays to enter a fish, even if it's just 1 fish, get it into the mixed bag. And all you have to do is go online and enter the fish. And one of the things that we also want to talk about right now, you put your entry in text-wise, and you send your photo to email to Bill. But
Yeah,
Red
email's
Stick
on
is
the
doing it now where they put the photo into the form as well.
Like Gulf Coast Council had,
Yeah,
that's what it,
yeah. And then you do that, and it still needs to get approved. Has to go through approval process and review process on the photo, but that just makes it a lot easier for anybody who wants to do the entry on theirs.
it's on that, on these sunfish, try to take the best picture you can, because we're dealing with hybrids now. I mean, I think, and sometimes it makes a difference. The little details that my grandson's the worst in the world. I lecture him all the time because he'll stand up, he's 6'2", and he'll take a picture of one on the ground. And, and I finally got him where it did, but you need to get up there close, especially on those where we see the details. It helps. Because we've had several hybrids just come in there that,
And if you can, the sun's right like this, put the fish in the shadow of your body or whatever. Because a lot of times the reflection off the fish like that, you lose a lot of detail off the sun's reflection on the fish. And that's particularly, cumbersome for the folks that are trying to determine what kind of hybrid, what kind of fish sunfish that is. Any other suggestions, Jim?
no, that's the biggest one to talk about. But y'all remember the size doesn't matter. Species doesn't matter. I mean, I'm world war ditch fisherman now, but there's stuff out there to catch. Species that in the past 3 years, I guess past 2 years, man, that Bill and I found that we didn't, honestly, I didn't really know they existed. Like that, was it a flyer and bands? I mean, no, we would never thought about it. You've got their brim fish and you're gonna catch one, and 9 times out of 10 you're not. You're talking about 3-inch sunfish as an adult at that size. But it's a challenge, especially the Gulf Coast challenge.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun trying to find those things just for those of y'all that aren't aware of. I'll figure you'll cover that later.
Yeah,
So,
we're in a good place. Baton Rouge is an even better place because it's a congregation of different waterways that come in, with the Mississippi River, the Gulf, and everything else where you get all these different species. But we have the Red River here, and some of the drainages that go in the Red River, like Bayou Rapides, have all kind of different species of sunfish and everything else you wouldn't imagine. So,
Are you counting the different variations as different species, like you've got the bluegill and the long-eared bluegill,
they're just long.
2 different fish?
yeah,
Or is
because
that one fish?
they're 2 different species.
Okay,
Go ahead, address
So I suppose
that.
the long ear is a long ear, bluegill is blue. Yeah.
And so like a red ear sunfish would be a red ear. and a green sunfish, a green warmouth. So they all be different species, yeah.
19
Yeah.
19 different species of that, just in sunfish.
Mhm.
Okay. So in Texas, they don't count white crawfish and black crawfish. Chris doesn't anyway. He corrected me today on, I think he asked on, yeah, they're two.
Okay.
You send them, we'll figure them out. If you don't, if you're unsure of it, submit it, and we'll determine whether we keep it or we'll let you know that you've already duplicated it or something.
Cool.
Like I said, it doesn't hurt to enter. Just go ahead and put it in the system.
What's the deal?
Any other reports we have? Anybody else? Mike, have anything to say?
No, we got a couple of things, a couple of events coming up in June. The 4th and 7th of June, here at the library.
What's that?
One of them's for adults and one of them's for teens, about 30 minutes with teens going out casting in the back and tell them about fly fishing. I'm not sure what the adults is. I got to talk to Miss Pam.
Okay, so this is fly fishing related, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, give us the details. I mean, this is,
I got to get them first.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got the dates.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be back.
Yeah, I got the dates.
Okay, so as soon as we get more details, we'll send them out to everybody in the club and let them know. But this is through the library or,
Yeah.
okay, this is great, right? Well, if there's no other reports, or anything else, I'll introduce our guest speaker. Alan, you come up and talk. For those who don't know, Alan is the source, is owner of Bayou Shirts,
Bayou Shirts.
which is the source of our embroidered
Hats.
and hats and shirts and everything else. I didn't wear mine tonight, my polo shirt. But if you go to our website, right there on the front page is my daughter, Karine DePlan, who's a member of the club, wearing her Kisatchie Fly Fishers hat. And you can get more information. We have a website link and everything there, so they can place an order. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep.
Let you talk.
I don't know how much of a speaker I am, but I've been doing the hats from the beginning. We
Alan,
do
you come with this?
yeah.
Okay, there you go.
we do screen printing, and I'm gonna pass some samples around, but we do screen printing, which is actually a manual process of pushing ink through a screen onto a shirt. And then now we're doing digital printing. This will be an example of screen printing. It's just a single color. You can make this shirt with screen printing, but since there's so many colors, it takes lots of screens. It's very labor intensive creating a screen, creating the graphic, separating the graphic, and then setting all the stuff for printing. Where now we can just digitally print it, and that's what a digital print looks like.
Sublimation.
It's not sublimation, it's actually plastisol ink. And it's digitally printing on it. So it's color unlimited. It's CMYK. So the full color spectrum, it'll print it, whether it's a rainbow or whatever it is, where normally it would take you 10 to 12 screens to print that same rainbow, to get all the colors and the shades together. I just brought some samples of some hats, I'll pass around. They're similar to the hats that you already have.
It's a lot of detail in it.
We also do embroidery on jackets. And on polos. Sweatshirts. And we also do jacket here. We do jackets. I brought these two sample of shirts because the trend now is everybody's going to what's called soft style shirt. The band is very soft, it's comfortable to wear, it's loose fitting. The downside is it's thin, but they've mixing polyester with them now, so they have a tendency to last a little longer. But it's less polyester, they actually call it a tri-blend. So it's cotton, polyester, and a little bit of spandex. And so it's a very, just pass it around, it's a very soft shirt, but it's very durable. Which in the past, shirts were undurable when they were the soft style. We can embroider on these type of bags, these computer bags. These are just bags that, companies buy for their employees for anniversary dates, stuff like that. Anybody have any questions about the screen printing and embroidery part of it? Typically, pricing on screen printing is based on the number of shirts you're doing, how many colors the shirts are, how many colors are gonna be in the graphic, and then the location of your graphic, on the shirt. 9 times out of 10, somebody wants to print on a black shirt or a dark color shirt, so you can't just put yellow, pink, blue. You can't just put it on a black shirt because the black will actually migrate up through the ink. So you always have to add white first. You put a white underbase under it, and you just flash it, just barely cure it a little bit, and then you put your colors on top. So typically, black shirts are a little more expensive to print. And the exception to that is if you're printing digitally. That would be the exception.
Yeah.
On digital, there's no minimum. On screen printing, as long as you're doing one color, it's just a 5 minimum. And that's just to cover the setup time, to create the screen, the graphic, and then set it up. Where digitally, you can print one shirt, and it can be one color, it can be 15 colors or whatever.
And you got all shirts and stuff in stock, or we bring you with it?
No, we normally just print on our shirts only, because if we make a mistake on one, we've learned in the past that if somebody brings you a shirt they got on closeout somewhere, you can't replace it if you damage it.
Yeah.
So typically and then plus we know what the end product's gonna be on our material. Where if it's a different brand shirt, it might not react the same with the ink. Embroidery doesn't matter, but, it's just safer. And we don't really upcharge the shirts. You know, a t-shirt's costing about $3.15 right now for a good Gildan. That one right there is about $3.75 because it's a soft style. So we don't really upcharge the shirts. The money's in the actual printing part of it is where we make our money.
So I'm looking at this, and it looks like there's a very dark pattern.
Very dark what?
Pattern.
Yes. Yeah, and with this shirt here, I'll pass around. This is just a regular cotton shirt. This is what people always use this shirt. And you can feel that one. If you feel that one and that one, you feel like that and kind of have the sandpaper feel, but that's the ones that we've always worn all these years until they came out with something that was soft and durable. You could get it soft before, but it wasn't durable, it wouldn't last. There's no minimum for it. Okay.
So
Yeah.
like the polo shirt that I bought, and I think many club members bought it, was embroidered with the red stick, Kisatchie Fly Fishers
Mhm.
logo. So what was the process to creating that pattern?
So it's called digitizing, and digitizing is just tracing the design in a stitch pattern the machine can read. We actually don't do the digitizing in-house. We send it off. It's $12. It's not worth my time to sit down for 30 minutes and work on digitizing something, and then if something's not sold out right, then I'm back. So I've wasted an hour of time that I could have been printing or doing something else. So the digitizing part, which is just the software that makes the machine read the logo, we send it off. We can get it back in 4 hours, and then we can just sew it out.
Okay, so like with Kisatchie Fly Fishers,
Yeah.
you have several of those
The logos?
logos
Yeah.
done already?
And when you're digitizing a logo for embroidery, it doesn't have to be high resolution. It can just be a picture you take with your camera. Where in screen printing, it has to be high resolution to reprint something. It has to be high resolution, especially if it's a photo. If it's a photo we're gonna do of someone, it has to be high resolution.
This t-shirt that I'm wearing right here,
Mhm.
could that be done with the digital
Yes,
print
yes,
like this?
yes,
And all just one shot, right?
yeah,
That's amazing.
it is.
And if we brought you something in that's already got a design on you and after replicate it.
Yes, yes, sir.
The other thing I'm getting at is my grandson's got these shirts Friday. And it came in from whoever made it in this big, it's like, bit me, right, and he's like. I can bring you that and say, look, I need that.
Yeah, we can do that.
You have a physical address?
We have a shop and it's actually behind our house. We just expanded our shop, made it twice the size actually.
Okay.
The digital printer has to be, believe it or not, digital printing in Louisiana is good because it needs high humidity. It needs to be 85% or higher. We actually have humidifiers in the room with the printer. Since it's a water-based ink, it needs to have high humidity so that it doesn't dry out while it's printing.
So you apparel,
We do.
selection that is that on your website?
It's on our website. You can click on catalog And you just hover on the left side where it says products and it breaks down hats, bags, coats. And you just type in a keyword. You can type in red polo or red hat and it'll show you all the red hats that are available.
I have to say that the polo shirt that I have, that y'all bought it, and I bought it for the
Yep.
shirt. That was a really cool polo shirt. It
Yeah,
really
it's a
is.
sports tech.
Yeah,
Yes. Sport Tech's one of the common brands. Sport's a common brand that we use. You know what the difference between a Port polo is and a Nike polo? About $50 and a check mark on the left sleeve. It's made in the same plant, same line. It gets in the line, they put a check mark on the left sleeve, and it's $50 more.
How much you charge for check mark?
Yeah. Embroidery is based on stitches, so it's $1 per 1,000 stitches. So if there's if there's 3,000 stitches in a check mark, it's $3. That's how it's priced. And,
So what's more expensive, the, digitally produced
digitally, yes,
or that's more expensive?
it is. Typically, people are printing digitally, are doing low volume, like 10 or 15 shirts for a birthday party. Or a family reunion, they want all the colors in the trees, separate parts of the family and all. It takes about a minute and 20 seconds to print a shirt, which doesn't sound like a long time. But if you're on a carousel screen printing, you can print 10 shirts in a minute and 20 seconds, where the digital printer can only print one. And I was telling Mark earlier, the other thing about it, the digital printer is the shirts have to be pre-treated with something that's kind of like Elmer's glue. It allows the ink to grab the fibers and hold on, and without that pre-treatment, it's about $50 a gallon for that pre-treatment. And without that pre-treatment on the shirt first, the colors won't hold in the shirt. We used to do digital printing about 5-6 years ago, but the software and the inks weren't there. Over time, the inks would wash out and lose the color and fade. But now they've got them. It's $300 a quart for the ink. Very expensive for the digital printer. Very expensive. But they got it done. I'm gonna pass.
so how much would a shirt like this cost?
So it's based on number of shirts you're doing and locations and then colors. So on the back I think it's 3 colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 3 colors in the back, 1 color front, about $12 a piece. If you're
Wow,
doing
that's still cheap. You wanna know what they charge for these shirts like this?
a lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
$30.
Yeah. My son went to
Now,
the
this
NBA.
is not mine, but.
My son went to an NBA game in New Orleans, and I'm always a critic anytime we go to a sports event, how much they're getting for shirts. But he got just an NBA, just a regular T-shirt, and it just had a 1 color ink on the front, and it was $75. No, I did not pay for that. That was his money. But
No
it
way.
was 1 color front. That's something we would sell for $9 all day long. All day long. They make it on merchandise, I can tell you, for sure.
Alan, is there any, trademark or copyright restrictions on anything? You can copy, something else off of another
As
shirt?
long as you change it by 20%. As long as you change it by 20%, the logo, if you're doing Mickey Mouse, it needs to be a 20% change, something in the logo. So if it's holding something, yeah, you can change, so you can change the color of the shoes. And that, shoes are so big, that'd be 20% of the logo right there. But the other thing is, most of the time on copyright, as long as you're not going out trying to publicly sell them like at a flea market or something. We had a friend that was selling Monster Energy jackets at a flea market, and actually a representative for Monster Energy approached him and told him to stop selling or they would sue him. But I mean, that's that 1 in a million, but if you're not selling or posting them on your website. So we do birthday parties all the time with Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or, some Disney character. It's very common.
Well, a few years back, when LSU went to the national championship game, there was 10 vendors in Baton Rouge when I was living at the time. And they were selling some LSU shirts. And one of them had the LSU logo. You can have LSU and you can have that, but they actually had the logo of the Tiger on there. And somebody came and shut them down because they did not have the license.
We were gonna make shirts for LSUA at one time, and the license was $5,000 a year plus so much per shirt. That tag has got the mono fill-in tag on it.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for, is to certify that it is an actual genuine shirt. But it's $5,000 a year.
For
Which you would-
LSU,
which you would never print that volume
yeah.
to make the money, plus so much per shirt. Yeah, so licenses are expensive to duplicate something like that, to print for somebody. I'm gonna pass these cards out. Other thing I was gonna talk to you about, because it's new to Alexandria. I was joking with Mark earlier and telling him that Alexandria is kind of the mindset of Alexandria is about 10 years still behind.
I know where you are.
But these cards are Airbnbs that we just built here in town. And if you're familiar with the Garden Path Stone Center out 28 West off of Ross Lane, where they sell all the landscape rocks and stuff, we bought the property straight across the street from it. And we have 5 cabins that are Airbnb cabins that you can rent. It's they surround a pond that is stocked by 1 and 2 pound bass. So you can fish, catch, release, or keep when you stay there. The cabins are 100% furnished all the way down to shampoo and soap. So all you bring is your suitcase.
Pet friendly?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of people with service animals that rent a
Where
lot
is
as
it?
well.
Airbnb?
You know where the Garden Path Stone Center up 28 West up here? You take a left or upside of the East Parish Highway Department, where they sell landscape rocks right across the street. You can't miss it. It's 5 cabins that surrounding a pond.
The guys across the street every time.
Yeah, yeah, they're good guys. It's got a walking path. We just poured a slab for 2 pavilions so that people can host events and stuff there. Pavilions are wired, we're banned for power for bands or just whatever. So, majority of our tenants have been through Airbnb so far, but we just got a website going, so we're hoping we'll start pulling for some of the local people. You would not believe how many people that we've had stay that come just to go walk the Kisatchie Trail. I'm talking come like 8 hours away just to go walk that trail.
Yeah. I was
I
gonna
was
say,
shocked.
that is great because I'm a member of the hiking club.
Yes,
And that's been a big thing because we host at our house some
Yeah.
people from the hiking club.
we
can't
actually had
host
somebody come from
everybody.
England.
Yeah.
About 6 months ago, we had somebody come from England. And their stop was here just to go to walk the Azalea Trail. Yeah, they
That's
just
amazing.
found it.
Yeah. That's
You talking
awesome.
Wild Azalea Trail?
Yes,
The north half of that trail is still there. You can still walk it, but the trailhead that comes out on Lake Charles Highway is gone. It's a crawfish field now.
Hmm.
But that trail reaches from Lake Charles Highway all the way to Coattail Lake.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it goes through Magnolia. If you go south, you go to Coattail Lake, you go north, you go through Magnolia. And it comes out, or used to come out at Lake Charles Highway.
And that's
It's a long trail.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people who come here for the Caroline Dorman Trail. And Kisatchie Bayou, because it's closest access to both those right here.
any other questions? And if you're out that way someday, just drive by and see it, and especially drive by at nighttime and see it. We spend a lot of money. Every tree on the property lights up a different color at night, and also lights in the water. Everything lights up.
All 1 bedroom.
They're all 1 bedrooms, but the couches have a sleeper sofa. And they have a loft as well.
Everything you need. Stop.
Yeah, our website, I already had these made a while back, but we just got a website. It's funnyfarmcabins.com. If you go to the website, each cabin's a different theme. One's a vintage theme, so everything in it's 75 years or older. One's a contemporary theme, one's a coastal theme, one's a New Orleans theme. And then we just built one that's a garage theme, guy thing. It's got a big roll-up door on the living room. And you can actually roll the door up and turn the couch and be right there on the water. It's just something different. We saw it in a magazine. And that doesn't mean it'll work here, but it looks good anyway. But we have tons of pictures. There's a walking path all the way around the lake. It has several places that you can sit and just these big rocks you can sit on, just relax. It's very calm. It's got a huge fountain in the middle. We have artificial structure in the lake for the fish, and then it's 15 feet at the deepest point, and it's aerated. So, and right now I'm fighting filamentous algae because the nitrogen's so high in it. Years ago, there was a barn right beside it, and it was L&L Farms. They used to milk cows there. And what happened, the pond at my house, I kept having problems with filamentous algae. So I called the Wildlife and Fisheries to come check my water, and the guy said, look, I've been doing this for 20 years. He said, I've never seen a nitrogen level this high. He goes, I just don't get it. And he said, so back then, this is before the tornado 3 years ago, that barn was still in place. And that barn had been there for 75 years prior to that tornado 3 years ago. He said, what they do in that barn over there? So they used to milk cows and stuff. He said, well, I guarantee you over the years, they took that manure out of that barn, they went and dumped it in those fields. And what happens is over the years, then once they shut the plant down, they started farming around it. So they started disking all that in the ground and turning it over. Well, every time it rains, the runoff, my pond, I actually had my yard made to where it run off and keep the pond filled before I had to put a well on it. And so every time it rained, it just dumped all that nitrogen in that pond. And so and no matter how much copper sulfate I put in, I never kept up with it. So the way to fix it was to raise the borders of the pond where there's no runoff and to put a well in the pond. And then that solved the problem and won't filament you out. I do have it in the new pond, and the new pond also has a well, but I'm just now starting to treat it. It's just starting around the edges. You have to have a little bit for the ecosystem of the fish.
It's actually a good sign. Because
Yeah.
as you
Yeah,
water's flowing, you
Yeah.
grow some big brim.
you have to have a
bass in
little
there.
bit.
Yeah.
But you don't want it where it's just, the other thing is I keep dye in the pond for the UV purpose of it. So there's no bottom life in the pond. So when you're fishing it, you're not getting crap on your bait. You'll get it obviously on the banks, but not through the deep parts. Because the dyes are UV blocker to allow any sun to get to the bottom. So. Any questions? I appreciate y'all having me. Hopefully I gave you more information than I did confuse you. But I'm excited about the Airbnbs. I retired a year and a half ago. I actually worked with Mark for a long time. I was a nurse for 35 years and I retired, and I'm not good at sitting still. And so Airbnbs is what I did. Started building and doing, started researching it. Actually, we got started because we had a above garage apartment in our house that we built when we built our house, and we never used it. It's fully furnished with a secondary kitchen. We never used it. And about 2 years ago, my son said, why don't you turn that into an Airbnb? I didn't have a clue what Airbnb was other than it. I'm like, well, we don't want to serve breakfast. He goes, no, you don't have to serve breakfast. You can. So actually February 2 years ago, we put that apartment on the market and rented it 6 times the first month, 160 a night. And so that got me, we already had this land. I bought this land to put the t-shirt business on. And I said, you know what? We're going to build some cabins and try this. And so that's how it all got started. So far it's worked out great. We've been blessed. And all the landscape stuff is very close. It doesn't take, I can just go across the street and get it. We have tons of landscape rock that we put out there.
Tell them where you're building with your next project.
We're actually building a cabin in Mount Ida, which is 2 miles from from the Lake Washita and 8 miles from Hot Springs. It's kind of in the middle. So it'll be like September before we're done with it. We were just going through we just leveled the land. The guy just called me back today about the perch system for the treatment system. What's that?
Is that on the Washita River?
It's not on the river, it's on the lake. It's on the south side.
Washita.
Yes, sir.
That's close to the Washita Trail, then it goes across Mount Ida.
I think it's about 4 miles from where we're at.
I've ridden that trail.
Yeah, and this is right on the main highway right there that goes to the harbor resort, so it's close to everything. So I'm excited about it. I think we checked the Airbnbs out while we're there, and we stayed at a friend's cabin, but everything was booked while we were there. So I was telling Mark that the other thing I learned was that they call them snow bunnies, but I didn't realize how many people from up north came down here and during the winter. I didn't realize that. And they'll book your place for 3 months at a time as they come down here to stay down here. I never knew that.
Well, tell them the t-shirt before they go back home.
Yeah. But I'm gonna scoot out. Grace has got graduation tonight. If nobody has any questions, I just wanted to come and introduce myself. I've actually been doing the hats from the beginning. It's been a fun thing. That hat actually is the first hat we did. The hat has 24 stops and starts on it, which that doesn't sound like a lot. Typically in embroidery, you have 3 stops and starts, and that's normally if it's a 3-color design, it stops for each color. Well, the way those I don't know what y'all even call that, feathers are coming off the back or the wings.
Mhm.
It's 24 different lines and through them colors that it does to make that. So it takes about 9 minutes to sew a hat. Normally it takes about 3 minutes to sew a hat. So it takes about 9 minutes to sew that hat, but it's because it's stopping and starting so much and trimming. So it's a unique hat.
Unique
That,
logo too.
Yeah.
That's what people
like this
say.
logo here, it's got, that right there is 60,000 stitches. That hat's only about 14,000. It'll sew this quicker than it'll sew that hat. Because see, it's not stopping that much. It's only stopping for the color. And there's not that many colors in it. It's big runs.
Maybe we need a new logo, right?
Drop the price on the hat.
Yeah, yeah. $20 is a good price for the hat.
Yeah.
Typically, people sell hats like that for $25, 30 if they're stretch fit. Yeah. I don't see anybody wearing a pink one. What, nobody's buying the pink one?
Oh, my daughter has a pink one.
So we don't have many people.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sure there's some guys in touch with their feminine side in there.
Well, Alan, thank you so much.
Thank
man.
y'all.
This is a great
Thank y'all.
presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Actually,
I know a lot of people that like it. I'm interested in that.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan. Let's see. Bill, do we want to talk about the Gulf Coast Classic?
We can, we don't have a TV to show the pictures, so.
Do we need to?
I can post pictures. Whatever you can talk.
Okay. First of all, let me give some background because some people may not know. The Federation of Fly Fishers was formed in 1964 by Lee Wolf and some other prominent fly fishermen. And it's been a national and international organization now for 60 years now. And it's grown to about 10,000 members. For the longest time, it was like about 8,000 members. But about 6 years ago, they decided that for the first time in the history of an organization like that, that they actually needed an executive director, that they needed to revive themselves and reinvent themselves, because fly fishing as a whole has been increasing rapidly, and particularly among young people. And yet the numbers of fly fishermen, members of FFI, were not increasing. In fact, they were decreasing some. And they weren't reaching out to young people. So they hired a consulting firm, came in and said, we need to change this, this, and this. And so they rebranded themselves, new website, they call themselves Fly Fishers International now. So FFI is broken down, like most nonprofit organizations are broken down into chapters, either at the state or regional level. So is FFI. They're broken down into regional state levels called councils instead of chapters. So back when we formed the Red Stick Fly Fishers back in 1988, we became, as a club, affiliated with the Southern Council, which at that time stretched from Texas to North Carolina and from Nebraska to Florida. So that was just too large. And so since then, it's broken up. Florida is now its own council. Texas is its own council. Southeastern broke away from Southern. And then there's, of course, the Gulf Coast Council, which is Louisiana, Mississippi, Southern Alabama, and Northwest Florida. And we formed in 2006. We had fly fishing expos at Lake Charles for 3 years, then New Braunfels, Texas, and San Antonio, Texas, back when Texas was part of the Gulf Coast Council. And then we had 2 years of events over at Ocean Springs. Well, we hadn't had an event in 4 or 5 years. So last year we decided to do an expo similar to our Seminole Fly Fishing Festival is, but on a larger scale and with more activities. And we had it down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and Gulf State Park Learning Campus, which is a fantastic facility. And it was quite a success, and so we decided to go back again this year. And this year was a big success, and I'll turn it over to Bill and let him talk more about it.
Okay. I had 30 or 40 pictures to show you, but we don't have a TV to show them, so they might be a little small on my, no, I'll move the camera.
Oh,
Yeah, move the camera. They might be a little small on my computer, so we'll just talk a bit and I'll post them on the, on our Facebook page so you can kind of see what the activities were. But if you went to and or enjoyed our Sinaloa Festival, this is 2 days of that kind of squared. I mean, it's as Ketch said, we had a vendor set up, and the learning campus is a beautiful campus. It's on Gulf State Park. We stay in of course, there's tons of condos around there, but we stay in a bunkhouse, and this is not your typical bunkhouse. I mean, it's like, the bunks are made out of the same cabinetry as those cabinets back there are. I mean, they're beautiful cabinets, privacy curtains, all this kind of thing. So it's, I didn't hear anybody snoring all night. So maybe, so it must've been pretty good. And it's $50 a night. I mean, there's nowhere you can stay unless you have a camper at the state park for $50 a night. But it is part of the state park, and there are 480 RV sites there. So if you have an RV, you can make reservations and stay there. But we had casting outside. We had, just like we did at our festival here, but we had Jeff Ferguson was there and did a workshop on perfecting the double haul. So we had some advanced casting things, different casting techniques. We also had 4 basic casting where we work with people who, many of whom had never held a fly rod before. So very much like what we do over at Keys Park in Pineville, it's just a lot more of it. And inside the expo, one of the differences we actually had fly fishing vendors there. No Wake Outfitters out of Metairie probably brought most of their store. I mean, he had fly racks as long as these 2 tables with all the little, square compartments for flies. He had tons of equipment, bunches of rods and reels and clothing and all that kind of thing. We had Space Coast flies. Sam, what's Sam's last name? Sam Sumner. He had probably three of these tables with tons of like flies and different fly fishing equipment. We have Blue Water Rods, a custom fly rod maker out of North Alabama. What is it? Brian, is his name Brad? Brian, whatever. And it's Brian, I think. He makes beautiful rods. I mean, he had a little 3-weight fiberglass there that had a rattan grip on it that was just beautiful. It was given away as a door prize, and I put 25 tickets in it. Still didn't win it. But so we actually have fly fishing vendors there, so you can shop equipment, supplies, and things like that. And then we had here at our festival, we have probably the best local group of fly tires we've had. Matt Bennett, we had what 20-something tires here at our event. And we had that Matt was at this event as well, but we also had Jeff Rowley. If you don't know him, he's out of Amarillo and is a Colorado fishing guide and fly developer. Our Umpqua, Matt Bennett, was there and did workshops. Joe Jackson out of Indiana was there. Alan Rupp was there, and Alan is probably the greatest protege of Dave Whitlock. So he did workshops on Dave Whitlock's near enough crawfish, and then at his fly tying station, he had virtually every one of Dave's patterns. And I sat down to talk with him about the red fox squirrel nymph like we tied in one of our sessions. He talked about it for 15 minutes. I don't know that you could talk about a nymph for 15 minutes, but the different variations and how Dave tied it and how, just really good experiences. Again, so if you like that kind of thing, I would encourage you to come. It's $20. It's the trip down there, but it's the workshops, most of which are free. Some of them are paid. I did a pay one with Matt Bennett. I've tied his flies before, but I said, I want to sit down with Matt. He was like right where Mike is. And just to have a fly tire of that level, explain like how much material you put on, where you put it, little techniques for putting it on correctly. His lunch money pattern that Jim's probably tied 100 of, I probably tied 25 or 30. I tied it And I'd never tied one as well as I tied that one with Matt leading it. It's just very intentional placement of materials and proportions and all that. You just learn a lot from this level of tire. And then we had a bunch of Louisiana people, Lance Renault, we had who else did we have from Louisiana? Darren Lee was there, David Rogers from Baton Rouge. So we had the fly tires were exceptional there as well. And then just like we do at our festival, the raffle was unreal. I mean, there had to be 200 raffle items there. And all the way up to, Yeti Go boxes, we had several fly rods. We had hatch reels. We had a couple, I think we had a Nautilus reel maybe, or I know we had an Allen reel. And if that weren't enough going on, they had a species tournament, kind of a mixed bag like we do. And a young lady won it. And it's how many species they could catch from Thursday at daylight until noon Saturday. And this girl looked about 12 years old. And I'm not joking. She looked 12 years old, but she was 26. She caught 14 species around Gulf Shores. It's a limited geographic area. And she won a really nice TFO, not the Axiom, the new version of whatever the Axiom is. But she won about a $500 fly rod for her efforts there. And then if you have grandkids or something, there was only one kid in it. He won a fly rod. He was the only entry. He's a little sixth grader that begged his dad off from school to fish in the tournament, and he caught one bluegill and won a fly rod. So, it's really good. I mean, I would highly encourage you. Again, if you enjoyed Keys Park in January, you would enjoy this. And it's the first weekend of May next year. It's the weekend before Mother's Day.
Take Keys Park and multiply it times 10.
Yeah.
And I'll say something else about fly tires. Between last year and this year, we probably had, I would say maybe 20 of the top 50 tires in the country tie at our event. Last year we had a whole bunch of folks from across the FFI.
More regional tires.
Dutch Bowman and Patty Lucan and all that. So if you took those, if you get Fly Tire magazine and you look, subscription, go back and probably there is an issue that goes by where you have 2-3 people that were at
were there. And the workshops are really good. They're put on by people who just fish a lot. And there was one on fishing and I like to fly fish in the surf. I'm not very good at it, but Sam Summerall did one on fly fishing the surf, and it was an hour, and it was really, really good. And then Danielle Davidson. Danielle is a young lady. She's about 30. And she is a licensed charter captain out of Apalachicola. And she has a skiff. She's just a delightful person. And the interesting thing about her, one, that she's a great fisherman, and her presentation was good. At the end of the festival, we had the FT3 tour, which is the film tour. This has come to the Pack and Pack before, but at the end of it, and she had one of the films in the F3 tour. And so it's about a dozen different short fly fishing films. And one of them featured her fishing for triple tail, which is kind of her specialty. And I've never caught a triple tail, never even seen one. But they lay sideways on top of the water, kind of like a floating garbage can lid. And really, they just lay there flat. They don't swim that way like a flounder, but they lay there flat. And she has video, and they had the drones out, and just really exciting video on fishing for triple tail.
She did a presentation earlier that day on fly fishing for triple tail.
She did.
And it was standing room only. I mean, the room was packed.
And she's catching fish, triple tail this big.
Yeah. And then there was another lady who was featured in the film, who's a member of the Gulf Coast Council. Danielle, by the way, was our Fly Fisher of the Year at the Gulf Coast Council. She was 2 years ago. And she's, even though she was in Apalachicola, she's still a GCC member. The other lady is from Destin. Her name is Gabrielle. And
she's in the Bahamas.
She lives part-time in the Bahamas. And she's a guide over there, she and her husband. And there was a film featured for them, A Line in the Sand. where they show Andros Island is being threatened by some mining operations out there. And some of that video from Andros was absolutely out of this world. It's the most beautiful place you ever saw in your whole life. Haven't been to the Bahamas myself, I can tell you. I've never been to Andros, but this is such beautiful water, such tremendous fishing out there. It's, yeah, and I think afterwards there was a petition to sign to, you know, get some money. I think we had like 200 people go back there and sign. It was full of signatures. So
And if you want to volunteer, you get in free. I mean, it's only $20. But
Yeah, nice
anyway,
t-shirt.
and you get a limited edition volunteer t-shirt, but you also get first dibs on the bunkhouses at $50 a night. So it's just a lot of fun. I mean, if you have that weekend free, you went and volunteered, Mike, anything?
Couple things, the dorms that, Bill was talking about. I got, 4 people in a room. There's no door on the room. And, it's co-ed. So it's, I say that because I didn't know that when the first time I went there. And I don't have any pajamas. So, so I had to put on,
That's a little too much information.
you know, I'm just telling you, because it's. But
Next time you will.
the lady guide,
Danielle,
who was, I was talking to her and so when they got there, her husband was in the upper bank bunk on this side, she was on the upper bank bunk on this side. And 2 other unknowns down below, I didn't know who those were. So it's it's kind of a communal type of thing. It's a lot of fun. Another thing is, the sticker shock for me is that, if you're from Louisiana, you pay a premium price for a fishing license in Alabama. And everybody else has got a different price. So that was kind of a surprise
yeah,
too.
it's $30 for a week freshwater license, and there's 3 lakes plus a bunch of other water on Gulf State Park, and you only need a freshwater license for that. If you want to fish, of course, the surf or any of the lagoons or sounds, you have to have a saltwater, which is another $33.
That's a $30.
but the good news is that the lakes that are there, that Lake Shelby system, you can catch all the saltwater species
Yeah.
in there.
Speckled trout, redfish,
In
yeah.
fact, I saw redfish on Sunday when I was out there fishing. I caught a few brim, small bass, and I was there on the bridge walking like that. So what's that tailing like that? And there's a thing with a spot on the tail, tailing like that.
Yeah, I was fishing with the bridge. I was back this week, Debbie and I were, and I only caught bass and bluegill, but there was a guy he caught probably a 22-inch speckled trout, you know, just from one of the fishing bridges. So there's a lot of saltwater fish there.
And I know Bill's gonna show it in pictures he shows online, but it's like being in the woods.
It is.
Because when you walk from, where your bumps are over to, where the meeting hall is, you're walking right through brambles almost. There are little trails in there, and they're lit at night with little ground lights. And you can walk if you don't want to go down to McDonald's or something. There's a restaurant right there that you walk to. Of course, they ran out of food about 3 nights, I think. But there was the national championships for the we call it beach volleyball.
NCAA championship for women's beach volleyball. That was a pretty big draw. It was a bigger draw than the fly. Yeah. But one of the things we did, oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
No, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna talk about the conversation I had with their coach, but go ahead.
Oh. Well, one of the things that we also did there is several members of Red Stick and Baton Rouge participated in the Suncatch Challenge that you've heard us talk about before. And there are 19 species of sunfish in the Gulf Coast region, and there are 3 levels, and it's just like our mixed bag, basically. So anything that's a sunfish you catch for our mixed bag, you can submit to the Suncatch Challenge. The first level requires 8 different species, and it's a really cool mug, about, big mug with pictures of sunfish on it. The next level is 12 different species, and it's a really nice personalized wooden fly box. I had one at the Christmas party and showed some of you were there. And then the next level is 16 of the 19 species, and that's to be determined because I think Brian Roberts just got it in Baton Rouge last week, but nobody else has achieved that many. But in Kisatchie, we have a new first level awardee, and he is with us tonight, and I am here to present his mug to him. I have had his mug since the challenge, but Jim several weeks ago reached the 8 species limit, and he's already surpassed that and is up to 10. But very nice. It's got several different green sunfish, long ear, orange spotted, and FFI Gulf Coast Council's Suncatch Challenge fanatic, Jim Johnson. So Jim, he's only 2 away from a they're really nice custom wooden, more like for display than they are actual keys, but really beautiful custom wooden fly boxes. So other Chris Williams is at 13. I have 12 for the fly box, and Jim's going to hit 12 pretty soon. So it's fun. We like to those little native sunfish, like you were asking about, green sunfish, long ear, red spotted. We have all of those here. White and black crappie count. So we have all of those. So if you catch those for our tournament, our mixed bag, just ask and I'll show you how to submit it for the.
And there's no time limit to it.
No, it runs forever. Yeah, it took me 2 years to get to the 12.
Still got to submit it within 30 days.
Yeah, but.
You want that?
As
You
far
still
as
got to
email
submit your
exchange.
interest in 30 days.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, but you don't have to.
No, you can take as long as you want. It runs on and reviewed.
And you have to be an FFI member.
Yes.
Chris Williams did this in 1 day.
The 8, yeah, he did. He caught the 8.
He'd already had it, but he did this in 1 day.
Yeah, he wanted to see if he could
3
catch
weeks
8
ago?
one day. Yeah, he did.
How many places did fish?
She's in Baton Rouge, so.
3.
Just 3
Three places. Yeah, Baton Rouge has a lot greater diversity. All right.
It was the young man from Alabama who's close to the.
Brad Doon. Yeah, Brad Doon. He's from Alabama, and this guy is a new fly fisher. I think he just started like in the last year. He can't be married because he said he's fished, I don't know, I guess he keeps a log like 600 hours in the last year. So it's almost like Carlton and Robert on the little moat, but it's, but he's eating up with it. He just fishes and fishes and fishes. So,
And he caught that little sunfish that's really
Blue spot.
blue spot.
blue spot, a
Yes.
very, very rare sight.
Chris, Ben thought, nobody's ever gonna catch a blue spot.
He did.
Well, he did, yeah, amazing.
But it's a good place. It's a good experience. Bring your rod, take some of the free casting lessons. I mean, I was out there watching Jeff. Double hauling, getting his students to double haul 60, 70 foot cast out there. And so Jeff's a great teacher. Keith Richard was supposed to join us, but Keith has a ruptured disc back. So he's having some back trouble, couldn't join us, but it was good.
So, the discussion is at least, tentatively, that it'll once again be the same time frame. May 1st, May 2nd next year.
Mhm.
And, we already have some big, folks, everywhere. That didn't come this year. So be interesting to see. They'll probably have people, like Tim Flagler, for example.
Yeah, one interesting thing, one of the guys was there, Joe Jackson, we were sitting around at night talking, and his wife and Tim Flagler's wife are best friends. And Tim Flagler's wife's always telling him, you go off to all these shows, he goes all everywhere, and I don't have anything to do. So why don't you go with Joe at a show, and then Susie and I can hang out. Well, Joe said he was gonna try to talk him into coming down there next year. So I don't know. We'll try. We'll see.
Yeah, because the places that Tim goes, there's no beaches. There's nothing.
Yeah, nothing for her to do.
Yeah, this would definitely. please us.
Tucumcari, New Mexico or
Is
something.
he gonna need 1 minute video?
I don't know. He
For
could.
those that don't know, Tim Flagler was like one of the top fly tyers in the country right now. He does a lot of the tightline videos.
Tightline
This is on
On
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah,
Go check him
best
out.
time videos. on
He was
YouTube.
a big help to me because I went to Atlanta Fly Fishing Show was it 2 years ago?
Mhm.
And sat with Tim and he explained how his setup was. He was a big help to get this set up.
Yeah, this camera, as a matter of fact, was his suggestion, this model camera.
He
This
does
works great.
fantastic. His profession is video work. That's what he's a professional videographer. And so that's why his videos look so great. And he was a great help to Bill and I as far as
Hmm.
getting the club set up for us. So. Anything else, guys?
I'll post those pictures so you can kind of page through them and see.
Is that the member share?
Yeah, I'll post them, the member share and I don't know if I'll post them to Instagram or not. We do have an Instagram account for you Instagrammers out there. I'm too old to do Instagram, but we do have that as well.
I don't even know what it is. Heard about it. Trump does it, right?
He does. He does a lot of Twitter though.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Meeting adjourned.
One last thing before we cut out, we've got, next month, our fly tying is going to be,
Hot Lips Gurgler.
Yeah.
second month.
And we'll probably tie a small version of it. I mean, it can be tied anywhere from two probably down to John Williams used to have pack and paddle ties, I think at 10 or 12 with it. So like bluegill size. So it's one of those foam gurgler patterns, but it's the Hot Lips. It has like an open mouth, so it works like a popper as well. So it should be a really good bluegill fly. Flip Saragusa has tied a bunch of them, and I haven't talked to Flip yet, and he may be willing. He can't leave home right now, but he may be willing to Zoom it if we'll just Zoom him in and have him teach us over Zoom. If not, one of us will tie it.
I don't know if y'all saw Kisatchie Fly Fishers share that video I put on that Chris Johnson did from Round Rock. It's all the life cycle of cichlids. And I've watched some boring stuff on the internet, okay, and YouTube. Believe me, I watched a lot of it. But his a great presentation. I mean, it's a part of fisheries part of it is fantastic. And I mean,
Everything Chris does.
even though
Fantastic.
it's in Round Rock and the hill country for fishing for, we have them in New Orleans and other places in southeast Louisiana. And you can apply the same principles there because he talks about their feeding habits, their breeding habits, and their toleration of temperatures, which is really interesting how you know what they do. And it's long though. I mean, it's like an hour and 20 minutes. It was live Saturday, but I don't know how long he's gonna keep it up, but if you got something to drink, sit back and watch it for a while, but it's very thorough and it's very, very informative. Might not ever make it over there, but I can recommend it's worth a trip. You want to go get some fish in beautiful water.
Yeah, if you've never fished for cichlids before, they're a lot of fun because it's sight fishing. And in warm weather in the big lake in City Park in New Orleans, if you're down there, take a fly ride if you're going to New Orleans, because you walk around the bank and you can see them swimming around the bank, and you just kind of get a fly close to the nose and try to entice them. And some of them are big fish. It's a lot of fun.
He goes through the life cycle, how they're guarding this when you catch them. You're not gonna catch them, gonna eat bait most.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful countryside around there.
Yeah, it is.
Next month, our program will be, Talon Jepson, who's a wildlife biologist. He's in charge of the stocking program now for, Central Louisiana, for Book of Fowl. He's gonna talk about the restocking efforts for Red River, as well as stocking other similar lakes. So if there's a particular water body you're interested in, around here, bring your questions for Talon. He'll tell you what they're planning to do, what the stocking programs are for those lakes and those waters. And then this Thursday is Acadiana Bugs and Brew down at Pack and Paddle. So if anybody's interested in going down to Lafayette this Thursday, I'm probably gonna go. It's a kind of a casual fly tying experience. You can bring the adult beverage with you. And sometimes they even have pizza, who knows? So
And Darren Lee kind of leads that, doesn't
yeah, Darren is gonna be tying. Oh, I can't remember what he's gonna be tying.
It's a bone fly of some kind. Stealth bomb?
Yeah, stealth bomber, yes. So It's always a fun time.
I think the month after that, Fred Boudreaux signed the Black Boudreaux.
For June, for the kids.
I think that's right now.
Yeah, let me tell you, the Black Boudreaux was the fly du jour, every day this past spring. I caught more crappie, bluegill, everything, trout on the Black Boudreaux than I've caught on any other fly, so it's well worth knowing that fly, learning that fly.
I gave one of your Black Boudreaux to Dave Buckner,
Uh,
and he couldn't believe how you spelled Boudreaux.
Yeah, I tied Black Boudreaux, I tied purple Boudreaux, I tied blue Boudreaux. And different colors of them, and they all work very well. It's just an amazing little fly. That's it.
How many guys we have online? One?
Jeff,
Who was?
Jeff,
Okay.
Jeff, we're gonna sign off, man. Good to see you.